Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 22 of the podcast, Jump Into Success. Okay, let's get going. Alrighty, here we are, episode 22, zooming along with those numbers. I hope you are well, and I know there have been lots of floods around the country. We've had some pretty bad flooding here as well, but of course I know some people's homes have been really damaged, or even some businesses as well. So my heart goes out to you, and I hope it's not too bad and you get dried out and back to normal as quickly as possible. And I suppose get nice and homely and cozy, ready for Christmas. So I wish you the best of luck with that. Now then, what have we got for you today? Well, slightly different, and you'll notice, for those of you who are eagle-eyed, we're a day late going out, and there's a very specific reason for that, and it's because last night we had episode 67 of the Be Inspired group, our open personal development sort of club, if you will. And we had a special guest, and the special guest was Steve Gilson, and he's a marketing professional. And he came on to give some tips about marketing your business, but also in a way to promote, a brand new service. Well, actually, two brand new services that the college is going to be offering. One is now launched, which is an online video course, How to Start an Online Coaching Business. I've gone through it. I can tell you it's fantastic. It really is. It is fantastic. So, if you're interested in that, definitely go and have a look at that. And then the other thing, which is bigger in a way, launching in January, is the Coaches Growth Club, and something we've been working on for a while now. It's been requested by all of our graduates. They've qualified, they're professional coaches, professional NLP practitioners, and of course the next step is setting up a business, and they need some help with that. They've been asking us to do something in that sort of area. And I think some of the reason is because they know they trust the college, and it's not going to be snake oil sales type stuff. It is genuine, ethical and solid guidance and support. So that's going to be launching in the new year. So Steve came along to talk about that. Now, given that he'd already spoken a little bit about some of this stuff in a previous thing on one of our live trainings, we thought actually a lot of people might be interested in this. And so what we've done is we've taken the clip, we've edited it a bit so it fits, from last night, and we're using that as today's guest, Steve Gilson. So enjoy this. If you've got any questions about any of the two things that I've just mentioned, please feel free to get in touch. Now, he talks about some slides. The link will be in the description, so you'll be able to download the slides as well. Enjoy this interview. So, Steve, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself rather than me giving out some spiel that might embarrass you?
Okay. Well, first off, thanks very much for having me. And hello, everyone. Nice to see you all, kind of, in the name only. Where to start? I suppose, so my background is in sales and marketing in the latter stages of my career. I kind of learned the hard way, not so much through university, more from starting off by pushing a broom and ended up in the boardroom. And so on that journey, I've learned on the job, if you like. And then a big sort of change happened to me about 5 years ago when just around the time of just pre-Brexit. So my wife is French, and as Tony alluded to, I'm now living in France. So I'm kind of giving away the punchline, but so I got to that sort of pinnacle of where I wanted to be, and then started to question really where I wanted to go in the sort of third act of my life, and spending too much time away from the kids, etc. So I had been getting more and more into the digital marketing space through my current work, but also started to set up a sort of a little sideline project, a charity-based project, which kind of forced me to have to create a website. And the long and short of it was, we ended up moving to France, and I had to sort of start from scratch because communication was really my primary skill within what I did, and a lot of the business things that I'd learned and sort of progressed through, it didn't really translate so well into French culture or the French employment. So I kind of wanted this challenge, right? So I wanted to work for myself, and I wanted to learn a new skill. So I really got further and further into digital marketing. One thing led to another, and I started to set up a business totally in French, which was, in retrospect, a step too far. But that did lead to me ended up being invited to teach at the university. So I now teach digital marketing and marketing at university, Excelia Business School in Paris and in La Rochelle, which has helped really broaden and deepen my knowledge of the space. And then it's also led me to Tony. So I wanted to do some voluntary work. That's how I found Tony in the college, learned about coaching. And now I've kind of brought those two things together. So the marketing and mindset, which is why you see that mindset to marketing. I realized actually I can teach a lot of people about the fundamentals of marketing and how to create a digital marketing plan. But often there's also a need to overcome that barrier, particularly when you're a self-branded business or you're a solopreneur. Is about actually putting yourself out there. So what I now do is I focus on that element as well as all the other stuff. So still do all the web design, still do all the teaching of the fundamentals, but also this notion of getting over the mindset barrier to go and make your business successful.
Yeah. And I have to say, Steve's being fairly modest, because the content that he delivers to his students at the university is mind-blowingly, extraordinarily deep, complex. We're talking level 7 here, master's level kind of stuff. It really is the bee's knees. And the videos that he's done, I mean, I've watched them, and they're brilliant. They really, really are. And I wish I'd had that kind of, I guess, coaching and support when I started the college and my own coaching practice, some 25 years ago for the college, 30 years ago for my coaching practice. But I didn't, I was really, because there was nothing like that around. Certainly there was no big internet. I mean, I'm pre-internet. That's how old I am. Which is unfortunate in many ways, because I sometimes think, what are you talking about? But never mind. But of course, the thing is, it's you guys who've asked for this, and so Steve and I are responding to a need, just like the supervision thing with the good doctor. And if you haven't filled in your questionnaire, please do that. So Steve got some slides. He's just going to go through them, and then we're going to do a bit of Q&A, and then we'll do our normal giveaway. Now, if you're going to be listening to this on the podcast, what I'll do is I'll put a link to the slides, so you'll be able to download them. Okay, Steve, I think you should be, by just pressing your arrows, be able to move backwards and forwards on your slides. If not, just tell me to do it and I'll do it.
Okay. So as Tony said, there's a distinction to be made. So there's two things really. The first thing is we've created this set of videos. So that exists already. It's already out there. And it's all part of the Coaches Growth Club. And this is what we're going to talk about next. So in support and to reinforce that help. So if you really urgently need help, the videos are for you. If you're willing to wait a little bit longer, this is what's coming next. So I think I'm going to need your help with the arrows.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So why did we come up with this idea? Well, any of you that have already started on your journey of setting up a business will know that it's not easy, particularly in the digital landscape that we live in now. So maybe some of these points resonate with you, or maybe just one of them does. If you've never run a business before, knowing where to start is really, can be quite baffling sometimes. It can all seem a little bit overwhelming, but when you actually get stuck into it, there's possibly a limited amount of experience that you might have had in trying to present yourself out to the world, and then realizing that there's 5.5 billion people online every day, and thinking, gosh, how do I get noticed? It's incredibly difficult. So what we did was start to think, well, how can we really just sort of support this? And if you're part of UKCPD, it's a lovely community to be part of, right? So you could be lucky enough to be within a group that stays friends now, which is certainly the case for my group that I went through. So there is some support there, but we wanted something that was a bit more robust, a bit more suitable for everybody as well. So whether you've been in the game a little bit longer or whether you're just starting out. So let's go to the next slide, please, Tony. So what we've come up with is it's going to be an element of practical support. So we're talking more learning the fundamentals, and don't be put off by the fact, okay, so yes, I do teach at a university everywhere from year 1 to masters, but this is design. This isn't just regurgitating them same lesson plans to you guys. So don't start thinking it's all going to be very academic. It's not. The whole point of what I did with these videos in particular is to just try to think of it, what's useful to you, and really just getting away from this sort of get rich quick, you can start a 10 grand business in 30 minutes nonsense that you see on social media. So it's very much about actually getting really into the practical support that gets you from point A to point B. So we're going to support that with not just me, although I'm probably going to be leading the charge with a lot of the marketing stuff, understandably, but certainly drawing on Tony's knowledge and his expertise in scaling a business. Like, I mean, I'm not at that level. Tony's been in the game for 25 years. There's no way I can teach you that from lived experience in the same way that he can. And there's lots of other different people that we're going to draw on to use their experience to learn from too. So can we have the next slide, please, Tony?
Yeah, so before we go, one thing I want to add here is that it is very, very practical. All gobbledygook, like, blah, 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 marketing speak. We think, yeah, it's all very exciting, but what the hell does it mean? It's not that. And, Steve and I spent a long time backwards and forwards about, what would work, what's real. And it's not this get rich quick stuff, snake oil. We're not into that. And Steve said we'll have other people coming along to present as well. I've already got some lined up who are really, really keen to come and share their knowledge and to support you guys in building your practice.
So to make some sense of it, I've broken down a lot of different ideas and kind of brought them into these 3 main pillars. So the way we'll look at it is like the business operations and scaling. So how to actually get established in the first place. That may or may not be something that you've already addressed, but that's certainly going to be useful to you if it isn't. And then we're going to be talking about marketing fundamentals. So just really understanding the basics of what you need to communicate your business, your offer, and to make sure that it resonates with your target audience. So really getting into the weeds about what's your value proposition, how do you add value to the world, and how do you start to put all those things into shape to be able to go and deliver your message with clarity and punch. And then the final pillar is this digital marketing mastery. So there is a ton. I mean, it's so hard. I'm trying to stay at the front end of all this, and it's constantly. We're in an exciting era of technological revolution. It's going great guns, like with AI and automation. It's so hard to keep up, and that's not to consider just taking one thing on its own, like social media. Then you take that and go, well, okay, I understand the basics of social media, but then you start to go, well, actually, each platform has its own particular quirks and needs and wants and content. So what the idea of this is really trying to break it all down to kind of go, look, that's all great. You don't need that. You don't need this. Let's focus on the thing that makes you comfortable, the thing that you can go and deliver on and move forward with that. So the digital marketing mastery, it's not about having to master the whole thing. It's just about finding what works for you that you can go and implement and get the job done.
Yeah, very good.
So just taking that to a bit more detail. So as I mentioned, it's going to be very much about coming up with the basics. So not into, we haven't got to go and sell this to, well, maybe you have got to go and sell it to the bank, but let's just say we can do this organically. So I like to work as much as I can with free tools. And I believe that you can, it's one of the big challenges is like, can you scrape by on the bare minimum, keep those costs low? That was always the challenge for me, set up in a business for myself, but with those really, really low overheads, and where it's something that I can be the driving force behind. So creating a business plan doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds. It can just be getting some, like lots what Tony was saying earlier, getting that clarity down on paper so that you know where you're going to. Because a lot of the time people have got, actually, they've got less ambition than you might expect, and actually that's going to have a massive impact in terms of what your marketing and digital marketing strategy might look like. So just be realistic about what you actually want. It doesn't have to be $100,000 a year business. It could just be that little lifestyle business that affords you a holiday every year. That's absolutely fine, but getting that bit right is really important. And then getting all the market research done, that's an integral part of setting your stall out and trying to understand, is this actually likely to have the impact I'm looking for, and particularly in a marketplace that can be quite saturated at times. So then also, we touched on the scaling of the business, but also just the legal aspects to it as well. Just making sure that everything is correct, to put yourself out there to look as professional as possible. To have all the me and Tony were talking about it the other day. He cited a lot of his early success to the fact that he ended up becoming VAT registered early on, which gained credibility, and being insured gained credibility when trying to get bigger clients. So that type of thing, plus all the legal stuff in terms of a digital standpoint, in terms of handling people's data, GDPR, that kind of thing. And then this bit about sustainable coaching business, well, that's just about making sure that the wheels don't fall off after 6 months because you were running in one direction and actually you didn't set up a marketing plan that was going to keep feeding more and more clients through, and then you kind of lose heart because things aren't working out the way you'd hope them to be. So just trying to put something there robust that you're comfortable with, that makes sense for your end goal and to what you can actually achieve given the amount of time available to go and do it.
Yeah. So just to add to that, we're going to have lots of legal templates that you're going to be able to use as well and rebrand as your own if you so wish, and lots of advice from people who actually know what they're talking about. And again, I'm lucky that because of my clients, some of them are willing to come along and give some of their time to the group. So there's some very, very, very good stuff coming away next year.
So the marketing fundamentals, this is, again, these are subjects that are all touched on within the set of videos as well. So trying to get to grips with who you're actually speaking to. As mentioned before, 5.5 billion people online. If you don't know who you're trying to direct your communication to, good luck to you, because you're going to struggle to find the corners of the internet that those people are potentially hanging out. So understanding that is a really critical point. And this notion of finding your niche, whether you like that idea or you don't, the reason why it's important is for that very fact. So not only understanding what your ideal client wants and how to emotionally connect with their outcomes so you can resonate in terms of communication, but it's also being, but you don't have to get wedded to an issue. You're welded to it for life. But in terms of like digital communication, it's really important to be able to be very precise in where you're going. Okay, so just to put a very brief example on, you can have a website, but you can have very niche-driven blog posts. That's going to find that ideal client. You might have several of them after a period of time. So about crafting a compelling brand story, this is again, it goes into more detail about, I'm a big advocate of storytelling, not only in terms of how to get your message across, but also how to present yourself as well. And this goes back to that mindset issue of putting yourself in the center, into the spotlight of your business. So what I like to do is try to spin that round 180. So you become the guide within the movie script, and your client becomes the hero. So once you've got all those basics, you can really start to put together a very strong identity, which is going to help resonate in terms of your communication, your message out there. So it's really just, it's understanding all the basics of marketing, putting it all together. So you've got a lot of confidence going forward. So you've now got the business plan. You understand where you're heading. Now you understand better how to market yourself. The next step is, okay, well, how do I go and actually implement that? And that kind of leads us on to the next slide. So great, I've got all this stuff in place. Now what do I do with it? So some people are big fans of social media. I'll be really honest, I can't stand it, but I have to. It's not to say I have to be best friends with social media, but I have to dance with it because there's a massive opportunity there. but I also advocate for the fact that you don't need to at all. And I would say there's many channels, marketing channels that can be utilized, that you can circumnavigate social media to a degree. So there's options there for everybody, but it's understanding what those options are, and then being very, very precise and very intentional in terms of what your digital marketing plan is going to be. Because the trouble is, what happens is you start on a plan and then you get very distracted because there's all these other opportunities, and you're like a kid in a sweet shop. You want to grab at everything because it's all an opportunity. But the truth is, the more you dilute yourself, the harder it is to actually create impact. So we're going to go into deep dives in terms of expertise with each platform, whatever suits you best, whether it's blog writing or LinkedIn or Pinterest, whatever it might be. There's going to be some expertise there to help improve your performance within it. So getting that strategy right is really important. Getting all those techniques to grow. Learn. Yeah, and we can get into the more technical side of SEO. I love SEO. Don't know why, but I do. And that's really about the science of getting found online. So whether it's even in your social media posts or whether it's on your website, it's about those keywords. It's about all the technical side of it too. It can be bamboozling when you start to confront yourself with it, but actually you can break it down to become much more manageable and bite-sized. But it's incredibly important, and it's changing all the time with AI. So AI is now influencing a lot of search results, and it's only going to get stronger. So there's lots of stuff around making your content more conversational, because guess what? In the not too distant future, you're going to have an AI bot that you're going to be talking to rather than typing into Google. And that AI bot is not going to be presenting you with a website. He's going to be telling you about that website. And so conversational language is going to be valued more, because it's going to sound better when an artificial intelligence bot, agent, assistant, whatever you want to call them, is communicating with you. So, and then the final piece is really just making the most of your website. Most of us are going to have a website. You don't have to. There are ways around that. We can also discuss those too. But getting the best out of your website is also something we can do, or even helping you make the website. So there's lots within digital marketing, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of some of it, not to be too overwhelmed by it. We can break down that overwhelm and give you something that you can go out and make a meaningful change with. So how are we going to do it? Lots of different ways, because it's that whole thing, you know, people learn better in different kind of mediums. So I really enjoyed on the course the community aspect. I love doing the little breakout sessions and the conversations and the chats we had. So there'll be group work. There'll be clinics where you can, you know, maybe showcase something you've done for better or worse to discuss within the group. People can learn from, you know, people's mistakes and failures as well as they can from their successes. So being able to bring that through, studying case studies, model success. There'll be stuff where we can bring in people that have, you know, been particularly successful on a particular platform. And this is where that the 3 T's, the tips, techniques, and tactics comes into play. There'll be, I want to get a bit of gamification going on as well, you know, so maybe if we've got a set of fundamentals lessons, you know, the 101s, marketing 101 or whatever it might be, you know, maybe you can earn some rewards from getting all the badges on that. So there'll be that kind of thing, but basically trying to create some sort of interest and some Q&A. But there'd also be this, as Tony touched on as well, some templates and resources we've started to populate into a library. So if you're at a different pace to everybody else, you might be able to go back there and catch up, or kind of work in your own speed as well. So in essence, that's kind of how we'll be delivering it, through some evening sessions, maybe some weekend stuff that'll be a bit longer. But we're still formulating some of those ideas now. So I think that'll take us on to the next slide, Tony, unless you got anything to add on that one. So
well, I will add. So you know, you've all sort of sat through this presentation now, and if you think, oh, this is really, really great, and it is, but if you think, but what about, and you think there's something missing, or you want us to add something in, email me, send me the message, and then Steve and I will look at it and see if it's a practical thing that we can do.
So, as said before, there's two separate things here. Today is the launch of the online training videos. So there's 6 videos. with yours truly, doing a lot of interesting hand actions, but basically explaining to you with the use of some really, I would say, I've thought about these lot in terms of activities, so it's very much, don't be fooled by the length of the video. Some of them they range sort of like 10 to 15 minutes, but there's lots of stop the video, do an activity, do an exercise, little workshops to do. So there's actually a hell of a lot of stuff in there in total. And if you did it properly, it would take you a long time. But the thing is, some of you might work better that way. Some of you might work better with that one-to-one help. So the videos are there. You can get going with those straight away. What we're talking about, or I've just been talking about through that short presentation, is about this Coaches Growth Club. So this is going to be the membership subscription where you can be part of the ongoing development of your business through all these workshops and all that learning opportunity that's there available to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And very, very excited because, been asked for it so many times, and kept saying, yeah, and spoken to so many different people. And in fact, some of those people we've spoken to, we will have us on as guests. But we thought we'd start off very, very simply in-house. And as Steve is the guru, we thought we would, work with him. Now, special offer before we get to anything else. That code Y3DYCF CXF, and we'll put it in the Be Inspired group so you can get it. But you'll be able to save yourself 35 quid off the course. Now it's open to all members, so that's pretty exciting, and that saves you quite a few quid. And as we say, we're going to be launching this program in January. I haven't got an exact date yet, or an exact costings, or anything like that yet. We've got to work that out. We're going to make sure that it's fair to you guys, but also fair to Steve in particular, because of the amount of effort that he's already put in and he's going to be putting in to support you through the process. Now, if you need to speak to Steve one-to-one, because he obviously works with other people himself outside of the college, that's his email address. And again, I'll put that in the comments when we publish the thing tomorrow. Now, I think that's the end of those slides. So we've just got a few questions, Steve. If you've got a question for Steve, now's a good time. We've got a little bit of time to do questions. So Ian, who did the course with us 20 years ago, wow, yes, time does fly by. His question here is, what are your thoughts on persuasive copywriting in relation to your marketing plan?
It depends on how persuasive you're trying to be. So obviously you want to be persuasive, but for me, I'm an advocate of really trying to get into the headspace of your ideal client, which is why I think it's so important, and actually defines a lot of how you create your content and how you present yourself. So getting to understand what their needs are, what they're trying to get as an outcome, and then trying to connect emotionally with that. Because what you're really doing is, so I say this before, if you're a weight loss coach, you're not really selling a diet, you're selling a great looking, the feeling of looking in a mirror and feeling fantastic. It's being excited to go to the beach because you're feeling so good about yourself. You're selling that. That's the bit that you're trying to communicate with your potential clients. So that's the way I look at being persuasive with any kind of content or copywriting. But there is a lot out there. There's different ways of doing it. At the moment, there's massive surge in terms of people automating and using AI. And even though people say, there's ones that do it better than others, but to be quite honest with you, you can't get it to that. There's just that little spark that you can tell the difference by. And so I'd say you can use that as a support, a structural support for what your copywriting should be. But ultimately, you need to put your own blueprint on there. You need to put your own little secret sauce in there that says it's you. Because if you're, particularly in a coaching business, you're really putting yourself at the forefront of that conduit from I'm not feeling great about myself to I want to look great on the beach. Well, you're the bit that you're the person that takes them from point A to point B. So for me, that is that's important to be authentic in terms of your approach.
Yeah, I agree. And we've all seen those things online where, do this boot camp over a weekend, and we'll sort of somehow guarantee that you'll be a billionaire in 6 weeks after that. I mean, I'm maybe exaggerating for effect, but we've all seen that kind of stuff, and we know it's snake oil. And we're not going to suggest you do that, because actually that comes back and bites you, because your credibility flies out the window, because obviously that's not true. You won't be a millionaire in 6 weeks, unless you win the lottery, of course, then possibly. But what are the chances of that? So any other questions, please do put them in the comments, and we'll run the giveaway in a second. Aren't you selling psychology? Well, it depends on what I'm not sure I understand the question. Steve, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there, Ian, but you could say yes, but that kind of stands to reason. So let's just say the basic of selling something to somebody. So why does somebody buy something from you? They buy from you because they like you. They buy from you because they trust you. And so you could say, well, that's psychology. So I've gone to meet somebody. We've had a connection on whatever level. You've liked the product that I'm offering you. You think that it's a fair value exchange. And therefore, okay, it's possible that if they absolutely despised you, they'd still buy it if they really wanted the product. But in general, people want to buy from people they like and they trust.
People buy people.
You could also relate that to being psychology. This is really just about understanding without being so not about being too convoluted with it, but it's just about being empathetic with your potential client. And the more you empathize with somebody, the more you can connect with them. That's kind of one of the principles of being a good coach and creating rapport. It's the same thing. You're just creating rapport, and you've got the opportunity to engineer that rapport a little bit more in advance, because you know who you want to go and find and who you want to appeal to. So you try to get into their headspace a little bit better.
So I've got one more question, and then we'll run the giveaway. How much should you niche down from Tarina?
Well, there's no exact way of answering that question without getting into the specifics. So how do you define niching down? The steps. You could say, okay, 2 to 3 steps, but it's fairly meaningless. I'd say, I think the best way to do it is to get your starting point, maybe take it down a level or two in terms of, okay, let's take the weight loss one. I want to be a weight loss coach. Okay, well, what kind of people do you think you might appeal to? So, okay, I worked within business, so maybe I'm thinking I'd probably relate better to business people. Okay, so within the business world, who would be looking for a weight loss coach? Okay, well then let's take it down to, okay, there might be startup founders, there could be, I don't know, HR managers, there could be people working in whatever.
So it's classic chunking. Excuse me, chunking down in the meta model. It's chunking down, down, and down. Transport car, red, stripy, the year. It's chunking it down as much as seems a reasonable possibility that avatar, to use the lingo, represents a group of people.
Yeah, and obviously you want that group of people that you think that you can add value to, that you think your message will resonate with, and that they've actually got the right available income to be able to buy your product. So they need to understand your value. You need to understand what their needs are. And if that's the top level and you've got a massive amount of resource to go and target that niche, you don't really need to niche down. The reason why we niche down is because there's an awful lot of people out there, and there's an awful lot of coaches out there, and by being precise about that that group of people that you're trying to target just increases your chances of finding them and communicating with them, rather than just talking to thin air.
Okay, so I'm going to run the thing, but you can be thinking about the answer to this question from Wendy. How do you market yourself when you're starting out without any testimonials? Have a think about that. So I'm going to run the draw now, because we're going to be running over time.
Yeah, so Wendy's asked, how do you market yourself when you're starting out without any testimonials? So I would say you could definitely get some testimonials by doing some pro bono work. So even if it's volunteering, you could look at your social proof as well. You could reach out to people that you've worked with in the past that maybe could advocate for you in the meantime whilst you're trying to grow your practice. But I think the best way really is just to in terms of practice, is just to do pro bono work, help people out where you can, and find out whether you can get a review off the back of it.
Yeah, sounds good, like good advice to me. Okay, so there you have it. I know everybody on the live broadcast last night really enjoyed that, and congratulations to the person who won the free course, How to Start an Online Coaching Business. That's now available to anybody who wants to go onto the website. Just click on Professional CPD Workshops and it's there on the top row. And remember, the Coaches Growth Club will be launching in January. And as I've said before, if you've got any questions about any of that stuff, please do get in touch. We're really excited about this program to support coaches and NLP practitioners, or indeed anybody else who's got, a solopreneur, maybe a masseuse or a beauty therapist, anything really that would be interested in growing their business, because the marketing material is applicable to lots of different areas. As I say, we'll put the slides, or a link to the slides, so you can download those as well in the show notes. Okay, that's it for now. Wishing you a great rest of the week and upcoming weekend, and I will catch you on the next broadcast. Till then, take care of yourselves. Bye for now.